welcome to the Bloomz live, and we're here again with Steve, who shall be joining us soon, to look at I think it's the third part of the build of his weightlifting guy. Oh no, it's actually a lady. It's a weightlifting lady that he's doing. Hey Steve, you want to request to join, and I'll add you, and then I can let you go. There we go. All right. So enjoy seeing the rest of Steve's build, and what was I going to say? Yeah, see the rest of his. Yes. Hello.
Are you right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yes. Busy day as ever.
How's everything in the workshop?
Pardon?
How's everything in the workshop?
Oh, brilliant. Everything's going according to plan.
No, all right, I'm going to let you get on. This is part 3, isn't it? Part 3 of the build.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, I'm going to leave you to it.
Thank you, darling. Take care. Well, everybody, welcome to yet another Wednesday live here for Wacky Lamps. Of course, I'm Artist of the Month for the Bloomz Art House, which is such a privilege. So every day in May, you'll be getting multiple posts from me and the Bloomz Art House. You can't miss us. You can't miss what I've been doing. You certainly can't miss the lamps that I've themed throughout the week. This week, of course, the theme is Music Week, but we're going to end with a bit of a wallop at the end of the week, because I've got a lamp to show you at the end of the week that I built. Actually, it's sort of musically connected, because I built it in honor of when I was lucky enough to go and see Meatloaf at the NEC in Birmingham live in 1979 at the cool age of, I think I was, 18, 19 then. So yeah. So anyway, back to the lamp that we're building over a period of 4 weeks here on the Bloomz Art House. And we gave ourselves a challenge, or I gave myself a challenge. You're just coming along for the ride, of course. And the challenge was to build a different sort of weightlifting lamp for the one I've done before, because I sold the one that I made before. So I thought, well, it's the sort of thing that people love to buy. So we're making this weightlifter here. Now, I'm not sure who she is. If anybody can find out for me, I'd be pleased. Just what I got off the internet. And I think it was in Fiji, because it's got Tourism Fiji. So it must have been a Fijian championship of some sort. But anyway, so we're aiming to make that. And so far, we have got to this stage here. Now, I have done, from last week, I've done a few little bits extra that would have taken time. So here's where we got to so far. So we managed to get the pose right last week. We got that right. And I have actually put the ends of the weights on. I've doubled up, so because she's obviously managing to lift more than she thought she would. So I put another weight on the end here. And all we've got to do now is to put the ends on here, which I will do now. Oh, he says hitting his head on the lamp that's dangling down from the ceiling. We've got these brass plugs here, so we're going to put a brass plug just into the end of here, into the end of
Someone is at the front door.
Oh, that's Alexa telling me someone's at our front door. We've got one of these fancy ring doorbells that tells us when anybody's at the door, but they're going to have to wait. I know what it is. It's delivery of cat food. That's what it is. Delivery of cat food. Steph's recording in her studio. I'm recording here, so they're going to have to leave it on the step. Let's just hope all the cats locally don't grab it. No, it's not a Prosecco drop, Sammy, although Steph would wish it was. So there you are. So we've got the ends on there now. We can tighten them up later on. So that's what we got to so far. If you remember, we've got the wiring through. I've cut the wiring off there because that's going to go through the base. And let me show you, put this out the way over here, how far we've got with the base. So if you remember, last week I talked about how to sand, the best way to sand. And we started off, let me just find you a bit of rough. We started off with a piece of this rough timber here. This is a Roco hardwood. So we started off with a piece of this that I'd cut to the size that I wanted. You can see this is just rough sawn timber. There's no planing been done to this. There's no preparation. It's just what they call rough sawn timber. And I had a piece of that. I mentioned how I go about sanding by going down from a very low grit, say 40 grit, eventually up to 800 grit in this case. And I managed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one on the thing, 7 different grades. And this is what we've ended up with. So now you can see this is a lovely piece of that timber, the same piece we had last week. There's no polishing done. The polishing is really the sheen you can see in that. If I can catch the light, the sheen you can see is just brought about by the use of the 800 grit. So I could have gone further, 2000 grit. There's not much point in this because the lower you go, the higher you go in the grit, the smoother it is, but the more inclined it is to get marked. So 800 grit. Hello there, Darren. 800 grit is what we've got. So I've also drilled the holes. I've routed out the base there for the slot to put the wonderful magic touch sensor switch. So what we're going to do today, first of all, we're going to stain this base and using my age-old technique of using a hairdryer to help dry the stain so we can handle it very soon afterwards. Hairdryer figures a lot in the work that I do because painting, staining, you can't wait around. You can't wait for it to dry overnight. So I'm going to have to hairdryer this and it's okay then to use. So let's go about doing that. I'm using Spirit. This is a very old tin. The thing about wood dye, it seems to last forever. I've had this probably, I would say 30 years. I would think 20, 30 years easily. It's Colron wood dye. Now I prefer to use Spirit-based wood dye. I have got some water-based wood dyes here, but they don't seem to give me the lovely penetration, the depth. I don't know what you think there, Darren, but I use the Spirit-based wood dyes here. So I've got a little bit left in here. There's some more on the way. This is Jacobean dark oak. So I always think when I'm staining the base of the colour that would suit the atmosphere of the lamp. This is a weightlifter. There, it may be in a gym. They may be in a sports hall or something. You don't want the floor, the base, to detract from the lamp itself. Now, Darren, he's a good friend of mine over in South Africa, Green Punk Designs. Go and check out his wonderful stuff that he does, incredible designs. He uses Spirit-based, yeah. I know we should be using more water-based stuff, but I'm sorry, at the end of the day, it's the quality of our product that's important to us. So, yeah, dark wood stain on here will show off the lovely silver and brass colouring of the lamp itself. If I was painting the lamp, maybe if I was doing a dark skin colour, then it would also affect what colour I did the base, because you don't want the two to be too similar, otherwise it just blends into one. So I'm going to adjust the camera down a bit so that hopefully you can see what we're going to do here. Oops, he said, trying to bend the camera down enough. Can you see here? I might have to bring it down a tad. Let's see, that's a bit better there, I think. Right, so we've got the base here now. Oh. Abandoned ship. Abandoned ship. Sorry about that, folks. I think you'd fall. That, so much for the Flat Earth Society. That was the Earth just tilting on its axis. It was me knocking the camera off. This is live, folks. This is live. Although I can use some cleaner on my hands, I prefer to keep my delicate skin very nice and clean. So we're putting on a pair of just these gloves to protect my fingers. And then we're going to use a piece of, we call it J cloth over here, soft J cloth. Let's dip it down again so you can see. And get the wood dye. There's not much left in here, but I know that wood dye goes a heck of a long way. And I always do the base first, just to make sure that we're okay. And the idea is to go against the grain to start with. So I'm going across the grain to start with. And then I'll end up in a minute by going with the grain. You don't need a lot of wood dye on here. And sometimes after it's dry, I do put a second coat on. But the idea is this is going to be when we get to the top. The underneath doesn't matter so much because it's not going to be seen, although I do like to make sure it's got a good full coverage on here. It's the top part that I want, the front side, the top that I want to make sure is good. So you can see that's a lovely colour. That could be the colour of a gymnasium. That could be the colour of a sports hall, a weightlifting. It's got that really rough and sort of, you know, I don't know. It just looks good. Hello, Claire. How you doing, my darling? Hope you're well. I'll probably get told off on here for my use of language, I'm afraid. I'm old school. I tend to call lots of people darling and babe and love and everything. I know it's not politically correct, but I'm too long in the tooth to change now. So if you do have a real problem with the way that I address you, then please let me know and I'll do my best to remember that. But you know what it's like. You're sort of a bit long in the tooth and you're used to, no one used to, it's like opening the door for people. A couple of times now I've been criticised by ladies for opening doors for them as they go into shops, saying, though I'm quite capable of opening the door myself, thank you very much. Well, yes, I know you are, but I was always brought up to do that sort of thing out of courtesy, not out of me thinking that a lady isn't able to open a door for themselves. It's done because I, Stabby said, head girl at all times. Yeah, right, babe. That's all right. No, and I have. It's genuine. I have been criticised by, I remember going into one shop in Stratford, held a door open for somebody, and I got a real mouthful from this lady saying, I'm quite capable of opening the door myself, thank you very much. And, you know, you men are all the same type of thing. And, oh, God, sorry. Blame my late mum and dad, they brought me up to do it like this. But anyway, yeah, well, that's... So now we can see, look at that on there. Look at that beautiful grain. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love that? Love that. Yes, Sammy, I love doors, but don't for me. No, it doesn't for me. Although I'm getting older now, so I do have people in shops, serving assistants, say, do you want me to carry that out to the car for you? So I suppose I have to be very nice. Thank you very much. I can manage. Look at the grain on that. Look at how that has brought up that wonderful look to that. So, as I have said, we now go to the trusty Baby Bliss hairdryer. Hold your ears, because we're going to give this. Now, this is quicker to dry than water-based, because as we just said, it's spirit-based. So, there are a few fumes, so I suppose realistically, I should be wearing a mask, but I'm not, I'm sorry. So yeah, you won't be able to hear me. So that is all it needs to dry that off. And because we're putting it down onto my dirty work surface here, I've got a few old towels that are half-inch from various gymnasiums over the years. That's why they're that shape and size. Put it upside down on there. Do the same with the base a little bit. Now here's where the pedant in me comes to play, because I know that this area here is going to ultimately be covered by a brass plate. So you don't really need to stain in there. But let's say that whoever buys this lamp at some point has to take off. Maybe they pull the cord and they need to go inside there to push something back in because they put their foot on it and it's caught it. And they look inside and think, oh my God, the person that made this lamp couldn't even be bothered to put a bit of wood stain inside the covered area where the switch is going to go. Well, it ain't me. I'm the person that always remembers to do that because I would think that myself. And it says something, I hope, about the quality of the whole piece, is that nothing is left. Even the bits you can't see, even the holes that I'm putting my screws down, get a little dab around the things here, around the little wood. I put wooden feet on here, you'll probably see little wooden feet. And those little wooden feet are just to hold it, obviously, so that the cable doesn't get trapped underneath. So that now is all good in there. Put the top back on here because so many times I've knocked over a can of something with my big elephant paw hands. So I'm just going to give this a quick rub over now. So any bits that are spilt on the top there can be reabsorbed into the wood. And I shall decide tomorrow whether it needs a second coat, because there will be some slight change to the look of it, but I don't think so. I think that is probably enough. Always make sure you get into the grain. Nothing worse than a little bit that you haven't done and you haven't got it into. So there we are. Again, quick blast with the hairdryer. Just to dry it. It dries so quickly. The spirit base dries very, very quickly. A little bit in there that I didn't get the first time. Mr. Pedantic speaking here. Spirit base, of course, needs white spirit in order to clean the brushes. So there we are. So that now is the base done. So I can take the gloves off now. And these have had about 3 uses, so they can go in the bin. So now, well, there obviously was a hole in one of the gloves. Now we can run our finger over there now, and there's no stain coming off. So now that's instantly ready to start the wiring process here. And this is where we have to be a little bit methodical, because every lamp is different. But what is the same is the bits we need in order to achieve the next stage. So we will look at the lamp, the bulb holder, in a bit. That's the last thing we're going to be doing today, is putting the bulb holder in, because that has to be glued in with epoxy, and that does have to be left for a while. So that will be the last thing we do today. So we won't actually get to test this until next week, which is what we've got the plug there, and we've got the all-important switch. This is the touch sensor switch. This is a 3-way switch, so this will give you 3 levels of lighting, as we explained last time. If I was sending this lamp overseas, I would change this quite simply, swap it out for a 1-way relay, because not all voltages and lamps in different countries will work on a 3-way dimmer, and somebody might put an LED that doesn't, an LED bulb that doesn't have a dimming, that's the word, a dimming capability. I'm trying to think of the word then, dimming. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this upside down. We're going to find the other end of the cable away from the plug end. This is the end that goes into here. And these, I've already stripped these down, you can see, in order to put them in here. So the connectors that I use are brilliant. They're Wago connectors. Now, I know these are available all over the world. Wago connectors, they're brilliant because they are sprung. You listen to this. Clip connectors. Once your wire is in there, it ain't going to pull out, I promise you. But you just got to lift up these little sprung pieces here, and it releases the wire. So they're great. So if there's ever anything wrong, then I can easily change out the switch or whatever. So I'm not going to go through the whys and wherefores of what I'm attaching, because it's all according to the electric. So you basically need to put together that's the earth on there. That will go to the body of the lamp. So that will mean whatever you touch. So if I've got that connected now and I just touch that with my finger, the lamp would come on 3 ways and off, because that is it. And so you've got the live there, and you've got 2 neutrals here. One goes to the neutral on the power supply, one goes to the neutral on the lamp, and this is the live. So you're bringing neutral in, neutral out, live there, and you've got your earth. So knowing that this goes into there, so we pop that in there, and we're going to put the other way. It's always 3 Wago connectors onto here. I can't answer any comments, so Sammy, my darling, if you see comments coming in, can you just answer them for me? Thank you, if there are any. So that in there. So how am I going to make sure you can see this? What I'll probably do is actually bring it up onto that. Well, that's good, isn't it? That looks better, doesn't it? You can see me now, can't you? Okay, right. So I've now got to take that off there. I've now got to get the lamp itself. And here's where I often forget now that I'm going to be showing you at the same time as I'm doing the lamp. So what are we going to do? I've forgotten. I've got to actually show you. What I'm going to do is attach this. What I've done is I've got the 3 holes there, 4 holes. One is for the wire, and the other 3 are for the bolts that will hold the foot plate on. And I also, having offered it up to there yesterday, realised that if this was being sent abroad in transit, it might move around. So I've put a little hole in there to put an attachment, a bolt up through there to attach to the rear leg of the weightlifter. You'll see how that works in a moment. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to pop this on here, and this is where it gets a little bit where you've got to just sort of hold it with one hand and hope that you can pop that through with the other. So you might in a minute might not be able to see what I'm doing just for a second, so I do apologize, but it's so difficult to keep this in view of the camera at the same time as I'm doing this. So I will hopefully carry on chatting away with something interesting while I'm doing this bit. Then you'll see what I'm doing. So what I'm doing, I always use brass bolts, brass flathead bolts, not crossheads. I'm a traditional man. I don't like the crosshead, the posi drive crossheads. So I'm going to use make good use of that tin of wet wipes. Once you get one of these in and on, you've got some support. It's connected, so it's the next. Always the first one's a little bit more difficult. So there we are, and we put a washer on. Washers are always useful. I use a spring washer as the first one, and then a plain washer for decorative purposes, and then I use these wonderful little domed bolts. Okay, there are cheaper ways of doing it, but I think that the end look is the important thing, and it's only a few pence more at the end of the day. So the first one is going on now, and just screw this on, and once this is on, the rest of them become a lot easier. But the important thing I've found is not to do anything up completely tight first of all. You want that little bit of room to maneuver. That's otherwise, so I always attach something gently. So what I'm going to do now is just to make sure the holes line up, I'm going to do another one in there, because the third one will be where the connector goes in, as you'll see in a moment. So I'm just going to pop this in there, use the again. Once I've got this on this second one, you'll be able to see exactly what I've been playing at here. It's all about fiddling with your hands to try and not drop anything. I'm sure when I come to move this workshop, there'll be so many little nuts on the floor. Don't laugh, Sammy. Oh, God. That's good. That I will be able to fill up my box again with me little nuts. So there we are. Get him on there, and then if I can quickly attach another one of these on there, because the third hole in this base plate is where it's going to have the connector for the touch sensor switch. So what I don't want to be doing is connecting up that one at the moment. That will be the last one to go connect to the bottom. But what I will do now is just connect up this back plate. So you see he's on there, or she's on there now, and we've kept the poise look. So we've still got her leaning slightly forward, but arms dead straight up. It's those little attentions to detail that are important when you're doing this. So now we've got to get the last bit now is to get this last one in the back here. And I drilled the hole yesterday to get this going up through there. Hopefully that will go up through there and up into there. screw it up into there. Hopefully I can get my little onto there. Now this is where I either lose it down the body of the lamp and have to keep finding another one, or if I'm very clever, I can hold it with a pair of fine nose pliers and do it up this way. Where are we? Okay, so we just...
Motion detected at the front door.
There we go. So has it caught on there? Well, I think it has. I think we've got... So I can now get the spanner in and we'll have business back to normal in a second. These are always bits that you can't do and ensure that you can see it fully at home on your screens, I'm afraid. It's just not possible. So I hope you forgive me for that bit. But once this is done, we're well away then. There we are. So there we have the, if I stand him on, or her on there, you will see what I mean. So there is the lamp attached to the base. Move that up so you can see the whole thing. So that, I think you'll agree, is pretty similar to what we were aiming for there. So we're sort of, I would say we're 3 parts of the way there now. Perfectly straight arms going up, bending slightly forward. That little bit of movement I get into the lamps is very, very important, just to show the extra bits. Let me just check on the time, see if we're not going to fall foul. We've got 5 minutes left, Sammy, I know. So we turn it upside down. And here's where we can now do the wiring. So we can probably, if I can, secure it onto here. There we are. We can probably even see the wiring even more. That's good. Right, so here's where we got to before. So we can attach, now I know that there is the live going up to the bulb. So that is the final live that goes into my live connector there. I know the white one, the neutral up to the lamp goes with the blue one up to the lamp there. So that can neatly go into there. And we've got the red one, which goes into the connector through to there. So that is how that connects it. Now that's all there is to that. So all I've got to do now is to make sure that none of these wires in here get trapped. They're all in there, all nicely, the Wago connectors. So the only thing to do now is to connect up the earth terminal. So I've got to decide what length of screw I want for that. They're not all the same length, so I'm going to pop a screw in through there, see if that one's long enough, if it needs one a bit longer. That's one on the floor to be found later. Pop that in there. That's about the right length for that. So we will trap the connector between the top of the bolt and a washer, both of which are brass, both of which are very good conductors. And we now have to turn it upside down here. And here's where it gets interesting, because I've got to try and do this and talk to you. So we put that one on there. Now here's where I get my chance to show you a little trick here. If you're ever using, I don't want to let go of the lamp. If you're ever using touch sensor bulbs and you've got to get a really good connection to the metalwork of the lamp or whatever, a little turned piece of steel wool, just turn that in your fingers, like that. It just needs a tiny bit, and you wrap that around with a screwdriver around the bolt underneath, because what that does, it ensures a really good connection with the base of the lamp and with the earth terminal of the touch sensor. So I'm just really pushing that down around that bit of wire wool around there. I can trim any bits off later. So I just want to trap it with one of these domed nuts. He says, trying to, whoops, there's a dome nut gone. Oh, there's these fiddly bits. It's the fiddly bits that get you. I know we're running out of time, Sammy, so I apologise for this. Well, I'm going to leave that out for now, and I'm just going to put the nut on there because I want to show you how far we've got. So I'll take this off a little bit later. I can hear you. I haven't got to look up. I can hear you.
You're doing okay.
It's one of those.
It's looking good anyway.
Probably not the most entertaining of ones because it's getting the electrics connected up underneath, and it's you know, you'd probably rather watch somebody pull their eyebrows out with a pair of pliers than watch me do this.
But I think it's important though that everyone sees the amount of work that has to go into creating one of your lamps.
Fiddly
it's
bits.
Not, yeah, it's the fiddly bits, but it's those are the bits that we don't see that make your lamp the beauty that it is.
Well,
this is the part of the work we don't see.
It is different trying to get to do it when you're on camera, because normally I'll have it upside down, my head down near the workbench, doing it that way. But
Steve, I'm just grateful you haven't electrocuted yourself this week.
Oh no, it's one of the few weeks I haven't. We're all right. Often I forget. So all I'm going to just show you now is with those neatly tucked behind there, then and those in there, you have a plate that goes over there like that secures it, and there'll be a cable clip in there to really secure that in there. So that's all done. I will put that bit of wire wool around the screw to make sure there's a good connection before next week. But basically, that is how far we've got. It's on the stand, so you can see the weightlifter's almost there. So next week, what we will do, I didn't get around to doing this, so I will wire that up, put that on, and then next week we can just do the final bits. I'll talk about looking after the lamp, how to clean it if it gets a bit tarnished, how not to clean it if it gets to tarnish. That's as important as how to clean it. And if you're in different parts of the world, what you will need to get and what I will need to supply to you in order to so you can buy a lamp anywhere from me in the world. But so there we are. I love the smell of that wood dye on the roof.
Brilliant.
I think I'm going to leave you and have a sniff now. So
right.
All right.
Next week is our final live at 5 with you.
Final live at 5 this Wednesday, and we'll be finishing off this, and then the next day I'll be putting it up on the live, so you can see online on the Instagram, so you can see exactly what it all looks like and working and everything. You'll see it working next week, because the last thing we'll do next week is to turn it on, and either the workshop will go black and there'll be a sizzling heap on the floor, or it'll work fine. Who knows? That's the fun of live shows, isn't it?
But we will have another live the last day of the month, where I catch up with you to see how the month's gone for you.
Yeah, we can talk about how you put me through the ringer this month with all these posts.
And hopefully people will send their questions in for any questions they have for you.
Oh yes, put that on a post during the week. So anybody's got any questions about what they've seen, about if they fancy getting into doing similar sort of thing, the pitfalls they will, or just maybe they've got an idea and they want me to comment on it. So yeah,
brilliant. Okie dokies.
Right,
thank you ever so much, Steve. Go look for your nuts once you've flicked yourself off.
I'll flick myself off. Oh, I love this bit. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye. As you heard there, Steve will be back again next week, Wednesday, live at 5, where it'll be the final instalment of building that amazing muscle weightlifting, bodybuilding, weightlifting lamp. Anyway, live at 5 next week. See you then. Bye-bye.